Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Maharaj.
Oh,
Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
oh, Devi, she drive.
Dandot Pranam Maharaj. How are you, Maharaj?
I'm good, Kitty. Dhanyavad, Saraswat, Prabhu. Haribo, Haribo. How you doing, Ross?
I'm doing well, Maharaj.
Okay.
I'm in Florida. Traveling.
Okay. What happened? And a lot to
No,
it?
I'm yeah.
Yes. Traveling?
Yeah, same as
Traveling
last
with
week, traveling.
Dry Vader? Nice.
Yeah.
And what are you
Yeah.
doing there? What do you do?
Just like mostly menial service and
Meal service?
helping. Yeah.
Going out, preaching? No?
No, not so much.
Not too much.
Going to talks.
I see.
Going to the talks that he gives, and lunches and helping basic stuff.
Yeah.
And then deity worship as well, helping out.
Oh, yeah?
With every morning doing puja, cooking and for deities and flowers, so on.
Doing Pujari work.
Backup pujari work.
Yeah, Pujari work.
You said cooking and helping with the flowers.
Okay. Very nice. Very transcendental. How's everything back in London? Okay, everything
Everything okay, Maharaj, by your grace.
back to normal?
Yes, Maharaj.
I am on the
Dandavad Pranam, Maharaj.
Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
Dandavad Didi. Dandavad Rose. Isha Prabhu.
Lakshmi is there.
Mosquito. Estoy aquí fighting with mosquitoes. How are you, Maharaj?
I'm good. Bhagavati Didi is there?
Yes, Bhagavati.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
No, you my hair.
All right.
All family, Maharaj.
Everybody's present.
All Maharaj está saludando. Anindita, Maharaja. Eso.
Chant. Vandanam, perhaps.
Okay.
Neham Guru
Vaishnavam Satnara Sirupam Sakrajatam Prapanna-jivanamrtam Sadhu-Sanga
Puja Shri Guru Bhagavan Gita Mahabharata Sada
Vande Sri Gurudevam Ananta Sri Acharya
Purvavishta
Sampukam Sambhushitam Satyantya Samasvedam Sri Govindam Ujjalam Varantanam Bhakti Sundaram
Vande
Shri Vishwagurum Chai Divya Bhagavate
Om
Nero Privatanam Chandavanam Tarakasera
Puram Sarega,
Danta Nidim Bhakti Milasitam Saraswatam Panditam Madhava Charanam Maya Srila
Srila Saraswati,
Bodhiyada Puranithi Atovanabhita Prabhupada Maya Bhagda Tingalodara Satyavtara Ke Jivanam Krishna Prema Satbuddhi Gyanapukam Radhatmarum Tammadhi Namo Gaura Kisoraya Bhakti Yoga Gaurari Sadharata
Bhante Bhakti Vinodam, Sikauga Sakti
Surashakti
Sarupakam,
Sarupakam
Bhakti
Bhakti
Sastranya
Shastrajna
Samaya, Pravarasa Shuganiri, Mugavayakita Shashai, Vaishnavi Vandya Vigraha,
Jagannatha
Jagannath
Prabhu Vande Prema
Premadi Visa Vaishnava,
Panchakalparupavaccha Asindu Parivacha Patitanam Pavan Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sattva-mukam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Namo Mahavadranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate
Krishna Chaitanya,
Pradaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauravite Namaha Keto Soto Pandana Mantre Mukti Vyadrundavanaya Kalpatrunadaya Srimadratnagara Simhas Sri Gandharva Srila Yesta Vishwaminam Vimandrasara Sambhavi Arsanveno Sai Gopi Gopinath Yasuna
Krishna Bhakti Devi Satya Vajaya Namo
Atanatva mantra gurun gurun bhagavatartada vyasam jagat gurunato tato
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya, Srila Bhakti Maharaj, Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Giri Govardhan, Ki Jai.
Jai.
Veda Bhakti. Jai, glorious
Jai.
devotees, glorious in the worldwide devotees, who are Premanandi, Hari.
Hari Hari.
Sripad, Paramahamsa, Sripad, Bhakti, Madhava, Puri, Maharaj, ki jai.
Jai.
Doing the Prapanna-jivanamrtam, text number 18. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Astatara Sata Shri Sripad, Bhakti Rakshak, Dev-Goswami Maharaja. Jai. Jaya Shri Shri Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Chapter 2, text 18. Sharnagatanam Mayatam Siddham Eva Param Padam. Masritaye Pada Palava Prabha Mahatpatam Punya Vaso Morare Avambudir Vasta Vatsa Padam Param Padam Padam Yadvi Padam Nakesham. It's from Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 58. The supreme abode of Lord Vishnu is effortlessly attainable with surrendered souls. This ocean of material existence is as insignificant as the water and the cow's footprint to those persons who have taken full refuge in supreme shelter, the abode of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories are universally sung as purity's own self. The destination is the Lord's supreme abode, never this mundane abode of calamities. Srila Prabhupada would often quote this verse when he would speak to the devotees. Krishna's abode is easily attainable. What's so easy, but so difficult it seems to get out from this material nature. It's easily attainable by those who surrender. The point is that we are by nature spiritual beings. We're spirit souls, and we are by nature constitution, servants of Krishna. So we're in an unnatural condition, but we don't realize that. We're in a state of ignorance, improper knowledge. So all we have to do is correct that angle of vision. We often speak of the angle of vision. We have to change our angle of vision. The beyond, what we call beyond this world, is not something besides this universe. The beyond is reached when we understand this world properly. We have the proper conception of this world. We reach that beyond. What is beyond is what is not, we're not seeing properly. Once we see that properly, that we are there, we're already there. So it is said that when you take shelter at the lotus feet of Gurudev, and you're willing to give your life in the service of service under the direction of Gurudev, then immediately you cross the ocean of material destinies. You don't have to go through any process. As soon as you accept Gurudev's in your life, and you're guarding it. So we said there that the ocean of material is like the Atlantic Ocean, bigger than that ocean of material. when we accept the guidance of the spiritual master, when we accept we get on the boat, Gurudev is captain of that boat. As soon as we step on that boat, we're immediately transferred to the spiritual abode. And the ocean watches down to the size of the footprint of a cat. In one. A wonderful idea. By maintaining an independent, exploitive mentality, we remain trapped in the illusion of material existence, in which there are so many different calamities. See, in the world, there's so many different things going on, so unhappy. Those who do not know anything about Krishna, about surrender to Krishna, they are afflicted with so many miseries because of that. Especially in this Kali Yuga. Environmental problems, social problems, moral misunderstandings, disease. So many afflictions can occur. Mental disturbances, mental health problems, suicides, whatever. The list is unending. I think I saw one time on the internet an encyclopedia of world problems. They actually made an encyclopedia. These are the problems that the world has to solve. How to get out of all those problems in one step? That people cannot believe there's such a thing. One step. Get out of all that. All of that. This is all illusion of the consciousness, pollution of the consciousness. Once we get rid of that pollution, consciousness can see properly, then we are free from all. We are meant to be free from that. Our position is automatically transcendental to all that. And that is only to be tolerated or suffered by those people who do not want to accept that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and that they are the eternal servants of devotees. Getting dark. We're talking about that today. Krishna Keshav said he was reading something about the Los Angeles temple. When they first opened the temple there, it was actually a church. It had all these pews in there and stained glass windows. And the devotees immediately wanted to change everything, take out everything, all the pews and everything. Prabhupada said, no, keep it all the same. Keep it all the same way. We're not interested in changing the scenery. We want to change the heart. The Christians will feel happy to come here. And they will learn about Krishna. But we don't have to change anything. The scenery, the environment. You don't have to change. We have to change our heart. From exploitation to dedication. Not renunciation either. Exploitation, that people get tired of that and burned out, did they say, of so much exploitation and the reaction that comes from that. And they seek to renounce everything, withdraw. That's not the proper thing either. We are meant to be devotees. We are meant to be surrendered servants of Krishna. And everything in the environment comes to help us when we can regain that conception, that feeling, that attitude, that mood. Everything will come to help us in this area. It's all meant, we will see, it's all meant for its effect. So we just have to make a slight adjustment. Slight, but it's also a big adjustment. And that will solve all of the problems. You don't have to get on a rocket ship and go to Mars or this place or that place to get to the place, Krishna-loka. You can't reach it by that process. Only by accepting the guidance of the Puri, Vaishnava, living under their direction, living under their service, then we can get there. Krishna says, I am within the heart of my devotee. And you can't find me in Vaikuntha, you can't find me anywhere else, except in the heart of my devotee. Very important to learn the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, all of our times. Carefully learn those, what they have said, with the help of the devotees who are following that. Following that, practicing that in their own lives. Then we can easily get the result. And get free from all this nonsense of materialism. Sound like a good plan?
Yes.
Text number 19. Sarvat Shitanam Vivarta Devrati. Nisham Saeva Bhagavan Daya Yed Anantaha Sarvatmana Sutta Ado Yadi Nirvalikam Nirvalikam Dustaram Atitaranti Cha Devanayam Naisham Mamahan Ititi Swashagala Bhakshi from the Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 7th chapter, 42nd. The illusion of bodily identification and the mundane possessiveness is dispelled for the soul surrendered to the Lord in all respects. Due to their taking shelter of his lotus feet in all respects, those persons upon whom the infinite Supreme Lord bestows his unreserved grace surpass the insurmountable illusory energy of the Lord. He does not favor those who ascribe the conceptions of I and mine in to this material body, which is food for travels and cows. So it's not that there is no I. It does not mean that there is no ego. There is an I. But we are ascribing that I to the body. And the body, things that the body comes in contact with. That's our possessions, our house, our country, our family, whatever. Whatever connected with the body, we think we identify ourselves with that, and then with all the accompanying possessions. That conception is what has to be negated. That conception of I, that false conception of the I. The I is not the body. The proper idea, understanding of the I is a relationship to the whole, the organic whole. I gave that example in that book that we wrote, the Idols of the Mind. When we identify with a part, only identify the part without considering the whole, of which it is a part, we cannot get it proper, cannot understand it properly. The leg of the elephant, when we concentrate only on that without knowing it's an elephant, we'll never get the right understanding of that. We'll think it's a tree or whatever, tree stump. So the proper understanding of the I, the self, is only achieved when we can comprehend that we are the servant of Krishna. Only in that sense can I understand I properly. Identifying only with a partial thing, the body, it's only a partial thing, a finite thing. Cannot be proper, will not be the proper understanding what I am. Not that we are to neglect the body, but once we understand I as a servant of Krishna, then the body becomes automatically utilized in the service of it. It means this body is just to be utilized by the I in the service of then it becomes. He mentions here, take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet in all respects. In all respects. As much as we leave behind, much as we do not engage ourselves fully, which this is, that part will remain here in this world. We have some material aspirations left in us for any part of our life. That will be cause of bondage. Give all of our every aspect of our being to be given in the service. Then the grace of the Lord, Supreme Lord, who conquered the illusion of the Any question? Or say it, talking about. Questions or comments?
How can one identify part of themselves that is still attached to the material world and to try to get it to Krishna? Maybe it's not so easy to see sometimes.
That which makes us forget Krishna. And we have to get rid of. The Dev-Goswami taught, always remember Krishna, never forget him. So that which leads us to forget Krishna, that's Maya. That part has to be dealt with. How to connect that with Krishna. We may have hankering for knowledge, want to know something. All right, use that hankering to know, to learn about Krishna, to study its details, spiritual science. And this way, this knowing endeavor will be utilized properly. If I can make a lot of money, no problem. But you have to utilize that money in the service. You I can eat sumptuous prasad. As long as you offer that to Krishna, it becomes a spiritually empowering process, activity. Want to see something beautiful. Use your eyes to see the deity, beautiful dresses, all the stuff, deities. Yes, everything can be utilized, whatever that may be. If it's being misused, then we have to try and change its to its proper use. That okay? Ariananda Prabhu?
Yeah. Maharaj, yes, Maharaj, one soul can live in this material world and some time cultivate a spiritual life with instrument very power is Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya is the instrument one soul can live in this world material and cultivate life spiritual on Yukta Vairagya. Yes or no?
That's what we are talking about. Yukta Vairagya. Don't just give up this material world. Utilize it. Whatever is material in your life, try to utilize that, to spiritualize it. Utilize that in Krishna service. Then you will be able to give them up. That is what meaning of giving up means. To give up the material means to utilize its spiritual function. To see that everything has a spiritual function. There's the problem. We're seeing it wrong. If we think of it as a material way, if it is leading us to forget Krishna, how can that same thing help us to connect? How can we know? It was very clear on that point. That our lust for food or enjoyment or whatever it is actually love. Love for Krishna. But we leave Krishna out. When we eat food, when we take food, it increases our love for Krishna because it's been offered to him. It's no longer just food. It's prasadam, it's his mercy. So we don't teach renunciation of these things. Of course, we don't eat meat and animals slaughter, but even that, one who is doing that, then there's not a restriction for one to become Krishna conscious. We have read about that in the scripture. The Kshatriyas, they would go for hunting because that was their duty, that was their position, to keep the forest from becoming overpopulated with different creatures. They would often go hunting and they would have to eat that food. to waste it. So that is not a restriction. Even killing a person is not a restriction, because Arjuna was ordered to kill others. That is not a restriction. But he had to do that for Krishna, for the service of his king. So everything that can be used for Krishna under the proper guidance. Under proper guidance of Gurudev. Otherwise, not everyone can just go out and say, well, Krishna wants me to do this and I'm doing it. That will be. It must come, the order to do something must come under the direction of Gurudev. Then it will be otherwise you will simply become fallen, more from more intense. These things are difficult to understand if we do not have the direction of Guru and Vaishnava. It will be very difficult to do on our own. But under their guidance and mercy, we'll be able to understand what we should do and what not to do. And to live a normal life. It doesn't have to be a natural life, it's a normal life. It's actually the only normal life. All other lives that are not lived under that direction are abnormal. They lead to so many difficulties, mental and physical and whatnot, environmental. We have to find our normal existence. We are at home with ourselves. At home. Back to home. Prabhupada used to say back to home. In our normal self and our normal conception of things, Krishna consciousness, there we feel at home. We'll feel comfortable. Everything is going on as it should. Be harmonious. We'll be harmonious and satisfied. But these instructions are meant for that only, for giving us the perfection, the happiness, the nectar for which life is meant. Life is meant to be fully joyous, fully joyful. Amrit. To regain our position in that Amrit, the kingdom of immortality, of harmony, love. That is the purpose of all these instructions. We want to achieve that. Number 20. Upekshitanam Yuka Pratikara Sadikat Eva Rasyaneha Sharanam Pitaro Dishripa Naritrasha Sagaram Adan Uranvati Vachito no Tatasya Tat Pratividir Ihan Chakchestas Tavadivo Tanupatam Avipeksitanam Bhagavatam 7, text chapter 9, text 19. For persons devoid of a relationship with the Supreme Lord Hari, Prevention of suffering cannot but be transitory. Purnasringa, O Almighty Lord, precautions and remedies only short-lived when attempted by the suffering embodied souls are not favored by you. Parents are not the guardians of the child. Medicine is not the cure for the disease, and a boat is not the savior of a man drowning in the ocean. They try to come up with many methods or means to relieve our suffering. Explain here, medicines or
Parents,
family, yes, family, taking shelter of the family, other fathers, other family members, relying on them for our own, for our benefit, for benefit of this world. All these things may seem like remedies for the difficulties we face in life. But these are all temporary fixes. They're called band-aids. You have some infection and you put a band-aid over it. It may stop the infection for a while, but it doesn't cure the problem. The one who has the mercy of Krishna, one who has the real mercy of the Lord, they are relieved of so many difficulties of life. That is his mercy. By willingly surrendering to the Lord and his servants, we can get free of all of this. We will find in our lives they will become peaceful, harmonious, happy. And that is the grace of the Lord. And we know that's the grace. Because after suffering for so many lifetimes in this world, we know what it means to be unsurrendered to Krishna, be confused, think that we are the Lord of this world. We can do whatever we want. We can solve our problems with independently. That won't work. Once we become wise enough to recognize that, after so many different experiences, then we may surrender to some people. What is that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Vasudeva Sarvati.
Vijayavanaaya Sampane.
No. How does that start, that verse? Now it mentions that after many, many births, one becomes wise enough to know that I am the Supreme Lord. I am everywhere, and I surrender unto me. But it takes many births.
Bahunam Janmanam.
Bahunam. Bahunam means many, thousands. Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many thousands of births. Yanavam. one becomes wise enough to surrender to me. So generally, we have to go because we're not so intelligent. We have to undergo many experiences of difficulty, of trying this and trying that, and recognizing that they don't work for all methods. And the only thing that we are left with is to surrender to Krishna. And that was a solution all the time. It was always there. And we didn't think of that. We got so caught up in trying to adjust the situation for our own benefit. But that won't work. It may work for a short period of time. But ultimately, we have to learn that surrender to Krishna is the way of finishing, the best and ultimate way of finishing this problems of this material existence. And not only finishing the problem, but of getting the highest satisfaction in life, to the highest pleasure. Highest pleasure comes from serving Krishna, living in that world. There are real life of nectar begins. Even pleasure is not a proper word. We have to call it nectar. There the nectarian life begins, the sweetness of life. No one is teaching this in the world. No one is teaching how to get that nectar. I really find that by the greatest saints, greatest scriptures, they teach us how to get that nectar in your life. Through Sharanagati. Bhagavatam. Message about text number 21. Anashitanam asad avagrahad eva iti vartiti. Avad bayam dravina tehas surin timitam okas priha paribhavo vipulas dalobaha savannamityasad avagraha aditivuha Yavannate Nigram Apaya Bhavinita Loka Bhagavatam, Canto 3, text chapter 9, 6. The various tribulations of the unsurrendered souls are simply due to their obsession with the unreal. O Lord, as long as the people of the world do not take the safe and sound shelter of your lotus feet, they remain full of anxiety about their wealth, their bodies, and their friends, overwhelmed with their lamentation, and hankering, obsession, and intense greed. They cannot obtain relief from the suffering, which is deeply rooted in their imaginary conceptions of I and mine. So this is what we've been speaking about, huh? the one who is unsurrendered, those who do not know the treasure of surrender, do not know the nectar of surrender to the Supreme Lord, they remain unsurrendered. And the result is they are dragged about by illusory things, unreal endeavors, unreal aspirations for what is unreal. Like the man in the desert is so thirsty and he sees a mirage. Sees a mirage, there's a big lake and a palm tree in the middle of the desert. And he runs for that, only to find there's only sand there. And his thirst is not quenched. You can't be satisfied by searching for something that is not real. If you want to have a relationship with someone, and you see only the reflection of that person in the water, the lake reflects whatever's out around it. If you see a person that you want to have a relationship with, but you only see the reflection of them in the water, and you try to go after that reflection, what will you end up with? Nothing. Only wet water. So we want real relationships. We want real persons to be associated with. But we will not find that in this world. These material bodies are only reflections. Plato taught about the men in the cave, the analogy of the cave. And men were chained to a wall, and all they can see was the shadows of people walking across the wall. To become attached to those shadows doesn't mean they have become attached to those persons whose shadows they were. But these bodies are like shadows of the real persons. Real persons exist in the spiritual platform as servants of Krishna, and have a relationship with them. Vaishnavas, with the devotees of them. That is real relationship. They will in some satisfaction. Real person getting real benefit from our lives. It will stop. Otherwise, Bruce.
Thank you, Maharaj.
How has it been? Very hot there in Spain? Very hot.
Yes, yes, Maharaj. This moment is hot.
Over the world is heating up.
Mhm.
Now we are getting also not only heat, but also the fires of the forests are burning
Oh,
and producing a lot of
oh,
smoke. So the air is polluted with smoke. You go out in the sun, there's also the smoke to deal with. You have not only the heat, but the pollution of the air. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Don't see. Difficult time.
Mhm.
And you know, we're always chanting Hare Krishna. And then all sorts of things. Are you all okay over there? And it looks like we're all happy.
Thank you, Maharaja. We are very happy to see to you and the body, listen to you and your teaching. Very, very good. Your teaching is our food for our soul. It's very important. Every Saturday is very important for our life. Listen to you.
Ravanam. Ravanam means hearing. Srila Prabhupada always talked about how important hearing is. If we don't think about these things, how will we cultivate that consciousness? Consciousness is a matter of thinking. So we have to think about these things. We have to remember these things. And that's how we develop consciousness. Consciousness means smarnam, remembering.
Mm.
Krishna smarnam.
Yes.
Krishna consciousness. That helps us to remember. Very important. Otherwise, we're thinking of so many other things, huh? That are not Krishna. My Dhanavats to you all. Please be well. Take care.
Dandava pranam. Dandava pranam. Ah, Dandava pranam. Dandava Maharaja. Dandava devotee. Dandava Maharaja. I love you.